Hello friends, welcome to Beast Recap. I'm your host. After Loki and Sylvie caught by TVA, finally TVA take them to the Timekeepers to kill them. Today the television series I'm going to explain is a Loki, Season 1 Episode 4, Action Adventures and Fantasy TV series from 2021, Episode 4, in the opening, The Past. A young Sylvie is playing in Asgard when Ravana and 3 Minutemen portal in. Ravana confirms that Sylvie is the variant they're looking for, and the Minutemen grab the girl while Ravana says that they're arresting Sylvie for crimes against the sacred timeline. As they haul Sylvie away, the Minutemen activate a reset charge. In the TVA, Ravana takes Sylvie into the processing room. Another prisoner is hauled away, and Sylvie is processed and brought to the judge. Sylvie steals Ravana's tempad, creates a portal, and escapes. The present, Ravana meets with the 3 Timekeepers. She then exits the room, and Mobius confronts Ravana if she's okay. Ravana says that she's not okay, and they blame Ravana of allowing the Lokis to escape. She says that the Timekeepers are the only thing preventing them from experiencing a temporal calamity, and Mobius says that in order for him to find the escapees, the Timekeepers need to give him access to C20. After Ravana insists that it's impossible, Mobius says he has to find out what C20 meant when she repeatedly said, "It's real," and what else she saw while she was with Sylvie. Ravana tells him that Sylvie enchanted C20 and scrambled her mind, and doesn't want people to panic. She gives them all an urgent alert and orders Mobius to track down the Lokis, and then leaves. The planet's meteors strike the moon of Lamentis. Loki finds Sylvie sitting alone outside the city, and he sits down near with her. Loki apologizes. Sylvie says she has some memory of her time in Asgard before being abducted and reveals that she was actually born the goddess of mischief. When that caused a significant enough deviation from the sacred timeline, the TVA imprisoned her and erased her reality. Sylvie stole a tempad, escaped, and ran for a long time. Everywhere she went, there was a Nexus incident that drew the attention of the TVA, so she learned to hide in the destruction of thousands of planets. Sylvie figures that she'll die on Lamentis. The analysts are unable to locate the Lokis at the TVA. B-15 asks Mobius if there's news on C20, and he says that there isn't. The hunter insists that she needs to find the Lokis, and Mobius tells her that they will. Meteors continue raining down on Lamentis, and Loki and Sylvie watching it. Loki figures that what makes a Loki is that they survive no matter what, and points out that Sylvie survived and almost took down the TVA. He says that she's amazing and Sylvie put her hand on Loki's hand. The analysts get a temporal lock. A meteor crashes on the horizon, and the blast wave heads toward the Lokis. Loki and Sylvie brace themselves and smile at each other. The TVA determine that the new nexus they locked onto is a major upheaval. While Loki and Sylvie sit down, 2 portals created behind them, and then they both saw the portal and they get inside. Then Minutemen collared them and take them to the TVA. While the Minutemen taking away Sylvie, Mobius and Loki argue about who had betrayed whom. They take Loki to Mobius Theater, where Mobius calls him an idiot and a bad friend. A portal opens. Loki tells Mobius that the TVA is lying to him. Mobius ignores Loki's accusation and has the Minutemen shove Loki through the portal. Loki finds himself in an Asgardian square. Sif comes out with part of her hair cut off from one of Loki's pranks, says that Loki did what happened, and slaps him. She tells him that he deserved to be alone and always will be, and beats Loki, and then walks away. Loki figures he is in a bad memory prison and was just having fun. The sequence repeats itself, and Sif beats Loki again. Irritated, Loki figures that he is in a time loop. The sequence repeats itself, and Loki tells Sif that she's a recreation of a past event created by the TVA. When he asks her to help him in escaping, Sif beats him once again. Mobius makes Ravana a visit in her office, and says that he wanted to meet with Sylvie while Loki is in the time cell. Ravana declines, telling Mobius to interrogate the Loki. He says that he thinks he can figure out what caused the spike if he works them against each other. But Ravana refuses, saying that Sylvie is too dangerous. Mobius leaves and goes to the theater where B-15 and her men are standing guard over Sylvie. When B-15 asks about if Loki has spoken to him, Mobius says Loki's claim that the TVA is lying to him. When he questions why B-15 asked, she replies that she was just carrying out her duty. When the action repeats itself again and again, Loki asks Sif to stop and calls him a horrible person. When Sif hesitates, Loki explains that he is a narcissist and needs to be noticed. In response to Loki's confession that he fears being alone, Sif reiterates her statement that he has always been alone. She leaves, and Mobius enters, asking Loki whether he's prepared to speak. Loki is transported back to the theater by Mobius, who instructs him to clarify on his earlier remarks. Loki asks for his freedom before saying anything further, and Mobius figures that Loki was lying to him to barter for his freedom. When Mobius asks about the length of time that Loki has been working for Sylvie, Loki replies that he didn't work for Sylvie, and he tells that Sylvie is irritable, difficult, and always tries to hit him. Then Mobius asks whether Loki and Sylvie are the partners. Loki insists that he and Sylvie aren't partners, and Mobius continues questioning Loki about what caused the Nexus event. When Loki remains silent, Mobius assumes that the conversation has come to a dead end, and Mobius prepares to send Loki back into the time loop. To avoid that, Loki lies and says that he was masterminding the entire operation. Loki says that Sylvie visited him on Asgard a long time ago. She brought Loki along with her to one of her apocalypses, and there they created a plan. When Mobius asks what the plan is, Loki says that it's coming along nicely and Sylvie is a pawn. Loki tells Mobius that something big is going to happen and he'll dispose of Sylvie when it does, and Mobius tells him that Sylvie has already been killed. When Loki asks about what happened, Mobius replies that Sylvie tried to escape and that B-15 had to kill her in order to stop her. Loki says, "Good riddance," and Mobius chuckles and then pointing out that Loki likes Sylvie. Mobius figures that Loki forming a romantic entanglement to a variant of himself is pure chaos, and Loki is an incredible narcissist. Loki angrily asks does Sylvie is alive or not, and Mobius says that she is alive for now. The Loki says that his interests and Sylvie's are aligned, and finally tells Mobius that all of the TVA hunters and analysts are variants, and the timekeepers erase their memories. Loki explains that the variants can access their memories through an enchantment. Mobius doesn't believe Loki, and tells Loki that he is closing the case because he no longer needs him. As Minutemen enter and take Loki away, Loki tells Mobius that the latter is the biggest liar because he lies to himself. Loki is pushed by the Minutemen through the portal into the time loop. B-15 sees a poster on the wall of TVA. The text reads verify through deletion, so B-15 gets her prune rod ready and enters Theater 47, where Sylvie is being held captive. The hunter puts her rod aside, pulls out a temp pad, builds a portal, and asks Sylvie to come along with her. Sylvie follows B-15 as they pass through the portal. In Ravana's office, Ravana has Mobius sign paperwork, and asks if he's good. Mobius says that he is and signs, closing the Loki case. As they raise a glass to the end of the case, Ravana asks Mobius where he would go if he could travel anywhere at any time. When Mobius asks as to why she refused to permit him to question Sylvie, Ravana responds that Loki escaped during Mobius' first interview. Ravana asks the same question again, and Mobius avoids responding. Ravana informs Mobius that the Timekeepers want to oversee Sylvie's pruning and want Mobius there. He asks about when she first became sure that C-20 had passed away, but Ravana is sure that it is over and the Timekeepers are happy. Mobius points out that C-20 was fine when he saw her last, and Ravana wonders what Mobius is getting at. When Mobius says that something feels strange, Ravana tells him that she is merely trying to protect him. She didn't want to see Sylvie do anything to him, and she couldn't deal with the same thing happening to Mobius that happened to C-20. Ravana says Mobius has been spending too much time with Lokis, and insists that what they're doing matters because they're fighting for their friendship. She reminds Mobius that they are battling for their friendship since it is unique. Her friend jokingly tells her she gave a good speech. As he asks where Ravana is going to put her newest trophy, Ravana takes her trophy and went near the shelf. At that time Mobius swaps her temp pad for another when she isn't looking. After that, Mobius excuses himself, saying that he is worn out from dealing with all the Lokis. He leaves after saying that he will meet Ravana later in the Timekeeper's chamber. During the hurricane, B-15 and Sylvie arrive at the Rockskate Superstore, and B-15 asks what Sylvie showed her while she was earlier in her head. Sylvie says that TVA made B-15's life into a lie and that she can only use the memories that are already present. She tells B-15 that the Timekeepers took the Hunter's life from her and the others, and their variants. Sylvie says that she and B-15 are the same, and B-15 tells Sylvie to show her, and holds out her hand. Sylvie takes B-15's hand and uses her powers. B-15 grinned when she looked back to her original life and remembered how happy she looked. When Sylvie stops, B-15 tears and asks what now. In order to be alone, Mobius takes out the Ravana's tempad in the library stacks and discovers a file on C20. There's also a video of her last interrogation, talking about her memories that Sylvie tapped into of the bar from C20's previous life and how she had a whole life on the sacred timeline. And that she and Ravana are both variants, and everyone in the TVA. Mobius confirms that Ravana is there, and pockets the tempad. When Mobius sneaks into Loki's time loop cell, he tells him that the TVA will be brought down by the following Nexus event that he and Sylvie cause. Then Mobius asks does Sylvie gave that memories to C20. Loki swears that he believes Sylvie didn't put the memories in C20, and asks if Mobius will trust the word of a friend. Mobius tells Loki that he was accurate about the TVA from the start, and if he wants to save Sylvie, he must put his trust in Mobius. Loki agrees, and Mobius tells him that he has the ability to be good if he wants to be. Through a portal, Mobius and Loki exit the cell and enter Mobius Theater, and find Ravana and 4 Minutemen waiting for them. Ravana asks for her tempad, and Mobius says he picked up Ravana's tempad by accidentally. He asks what the problem is, and then says that if could go to wherever he had a life before the TVA came along, he'd ride on his jet ski. One of the Minutemen is instructed to vanish Mobius by Ravana, and the Minuteman complies. The Minutemen take Loki to the gold lift, while Ravana visits Sylvie's theater and checks that B-15 was with the prisoner. After B-15 leaves, Ravana orders the Minutemen to warn Alert about the hunter because Sylvie has compromised her. Sylvie is taken to the gold lift by the Minutemen, and Ravana joins them along with Loki. Ravana tells Loki and Sylvie up in the elevator to the Timekeeper's chamber, and Sylvie asks Ravana if she remembers her. Ravana says that she did, and Sylvie asks her why they arrested her. When the Ravana asks as to why it matters, Sylvie responds that it was enough to end her life and that she therefore believes it to be important. Ravana says to Sylvie that she doesn't remember. The three enter the room and find the Timekeepers waiting there in their seated positions. Loki dares them to kill him. Sylvie says that the Keepers are afraid of them. As Sylvie is being prevented from moving ahead by Ravana's rewind device and the collar she has on her, B-15 shows up, uses her remote to open the collars, and throws Sylvie her sword. Guard Minutemen knock down B-15 and surround Loki and Sylvie. When they battle, Sylvie throws Loki her sword in order to protect him. She uses her own rod to kill one Minuteman and battling Ravana, who also uses her own rod. While Loki murders his opponents, Sylvie knocks Ravana out. Sylvie receives her sword back from him, throws it, and cuts off the head of a timekeeper. His head detaches, revealing him to be an android. Loki questions who created the TVA as the final 2 keepers shut down. Sylvie is being told something by Loki, who tells her that they will figure it out. When Sylvie asks how Loki know that they can figure out that, for that Loki tried to say the thing that happened in Lamentus, and Loki says that it's new for him. She wonders why, and he says that it's new for him. Before Loki can continue, Ravana recovers herself and uses her rod to vanish him. After Sylvie disarms Ravana and takes her rod and threatens her Ravana with it. Sylvie refuses to comply with Ravana's request and says that Ravana is going to reveal everything to her. Post-credit, in the rubble of New York City with Avengers Tower in the distance, Loki awakens. He asks whether he is dead and whether he is in hell, but he saw 4 Lokis, Boastful, Classic, Kid, and Alligator are there. Boastful says that if Loki fails to join them, he will die, and this is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want the recap of all episodes, playlist link in description. Go and check it out. And how was the episode 4? Comment below if you like this video. Smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe my channel, and don't forget to follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Link in description. And if you want any other movie recap video, comment below and I'll see you in the next awesome recap video. Until that, have fun guys.